Hi, Jamie Allen Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment here to do live Toes Day. It is March 30th, which makes it the last day of the month that we'll be talking about destiny and purpose in life. One of the things that's really interesting is I posted, hello whoever just joined, thank you for being here. One of the things that's really interesting is I just posted an image of two big toes with, oh, hi Susie, so glad you caught me live, yay, good to see you, fantastic, so glad you're here. I posted an image of toes, big toes with bruises on the, oh, hi Cindy Rose, yay. So excited that you guys are here live with me. Thank you for being here. So, okay, so this image that I posted with the big toes and the bruises on the second finger side of the toe, that's the future side of the toe, and there are bruises. It's such a random place to have bruises. Guess what, you guys? They're my toes. I have no clue how I got the bruises. They don't hurt. There's nothing going on with it in that respect, but it is definitely a big sign of personal and spiritual transformation involving my destiny. Isn't that so cool? I mean, it's really weird, but I love that it shows up like that and that it's a really, really obvious sign for me to just kind of, kudos for continuing this personal transformation and allowing things to come to the surface and allowing myself to just go with it and get over it and, acknowledge that it's there. So yay! They look really weird, but that's okay. That's part of the transformation, is it looks unusual. It looks not normal. It might even look really painful. It's not even kind of painful. So it's just, what a bizarre side of the toe to have bruises, right? So if you haven't seen that picture, you'll have to do a little search to see if you can find it. It's my big toes, and you can see that, there's anyway, so super cool. Anyway, all right, so let's just do a little teeny tiny recap on what the toe reading shows. We have the left foot, which is our internal self, the right foot, which is our external self. We have anything that leans toward the big toes that has to do with past thoughts. Anything that leans toward the baby toes has to do with future thoughts. And as you can see, the big toes, I have, I didn't have the picture printed, but you know what, I'm going to take my phone off of its stand, and I'm gonna turn the camera around so that you can see how these toes are showing up. Isn't that so bizarre? Look at those bruises, that's so crazy. So weird. Anyway, so that's just a sign that I have let go of, or that it's a sign that I've been dealing with something that is bubbling to the surface. It might be a little bit painful. It might be something that about the future that I am letting go of, or that's kind of rearing its ugly head, if you will, and that I have to acknowledge about forgiveness work, of course. I mean, forgiveness work is the stem of everything. And then once you do the forgiveness work, of course, be in complete gratitude around what's come your way. It doesn't matter why it's come your way. I'm thinking just because of the way that things happened, I'm thinking that this has a little bit to do with being disappointed about this weekend. This weekend was supposed to be this big, huge event. I put forth all this effort and energy toward it, and it's sort of, the people that joined were my people, so I felt really, really great about that, and I felt very supported in that, and thank you all for being part of that with me, and I appreciate it so much. But I felt like the team that was supposed to be there this weekend didn't really step up to the plate. And I don't know if that's because they felt like they weren't being supported, or they felt like a few more things needed to be in place before they felt comfortable sharing it with their contacts, or if they just dropped the ball and let the time get away from them before they started to share it with their people. But anyway, it definitely rocked my world. So it's interesting that it's on that future side, because it was something that I had to just let go of. I had to let go of the expectation of it, and just allow it to be what it will be. I learned so much, of course, during the process of getting ready for that event, that now I'm even more prepared, and I have even greater things to offer for the May event. So it's all good. It all works itself out. But of course, when you stumble, it's no fun. It's no fun to feel the pain and the disappointment and whatever else comes up when we're not quite making our goal in the time that we expect it to be made, right? It's all about those expectations and where we're putting those expectations. So, but moving on from my toes, but I thought that was really interesting, and I thought I'd share it with you because I wasn't 100% sure what it meant. I knew what I thought it meant for me, but it's interesting how when I read somebody else's toes, it's really easy to see all the things that are there. It's really easy to intuit what is supposed to be coming up. But when I look down at my own toes, of course, it's not quite as obvious. It's not quite as, I have impressions of what it might be, but I handed it out to all of my toe reader friends, and they all gave me some great feedback, not knowing that it was my toes, which was perfect because I got the honest truth. They didn't censor themselves. So just let it go. Water off a duck's back. Gotta let those expectations go and be okay with that I had the expectations in the first place and that those expectations weren't met, and just forgive myself for whatever didn't happen to make it not work, right? Anyway, okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit. I kind of touched on the subject last week about color. So toenail color is really, really an interesting subject when it comes to our destined path and our destiny in particular. So I wanted to show you these 4 different sets of toes, and just notice on the, all the color is the same across all the toes. So that obviously means something. But the color is, of course, extremely different from toenail to toenail. And you can see, these are kind of clear or bare toes. These are kind of that deep red, almost a burgundy or a Merlot color. These are a little bit more orange with some sparkliness in it. And these are kind of like a bluish black, maybe even a really deep purple. They look really black to me, but I think, well, they might be black. Anyway. So of course the colors mean something, or the lack of color, Lack of color usually means that you're just trying to get back to your roots. You're trying to show up as the most natural version of yourself as is possible. The red is kind of stepping into that root chakra, or that power center within ourselves, and seeing how that will show up in our lives. That orange color, and especially kind of an orangey with a sparkliness to it, has to do with stepping into that sacral chakra and feeling a little bit more passions and a little bit more excitement, and the sparkliness kind of brings that lightness and airiness to it. So it's a little bit less intense. It's just a little bit more on the happier side of things. And then the black is really kind of merging all of the colors together. It can go 2 ways. The thing about black or any kind of really dark color is that when you're in a place where darkness feels heavy and intense, or sometimes even scary, It can be about burden. It can be about releasing expectations, like my bruises. It can be, it can be kind of a heavier feel to it. But what's really interesting about both white and black, or the really, really, really light colors and the really, really dark colors, is that they can both be both. Okay, so in that darkness, you can also find that place of peace and just complete silence and a feeling of being, you have to feel a comfort level there in order to kind of blossom out of it, or allow it to just surround you and envelop you and hold you, right? The same is true with light colors. So when it's a light color, it can be blinding, it can be overwhelming, it can be a sense of just like feeling like everything's happening all at once, or just bright right in your face. But it can also feel like you're connected to higher self. It can feel like you're showing up as the best version. It can feel really light and airy, right? So both of those colors, both of those dark colors can feel really heavy and really light all at the same time. And the light colors can do the same. They can feel really heavy and overwhelming, or they can feel really light and airy. So it kind of depends on where you're at with yourself and your journey, what will show up for you. The caution that I would say about the light colors and the dark colors on your toes is that oh, hi Robert, so glad you're here. The caution that I would say is that you want to just allow, when you're kind of more drawn to the darker colors or the really, really light colors, you want to just allow things to come up for you that are meant to come up. So it might be that you're feeling a little bit heavier and in a place of trying to find that peace in the darkness, right? Or you don't know what's going to happen next. That's okay. We just kind of have to embrace it and allow it to just envelop us and circle us. Robert, I shared a little bit earlier that my two big toes have bruises on that pinky toe side of the toes, and I have no idea how they show up. I have no idea why they're there. Other than that, we're talking about this light versus dark. So it's, to me, I take it as that it's showing up as this darkness that I have to learn a sense of peace with, or that I have to come to a sense of peace around, that future idea when it comes to what my destiny or purpose in life looks like, right? I know, right? Okay, so let me take a quick look at these comments just to see if there's anything that I need to respond to here. And thank you guys so much for being here. If there's any questions that you have, very tingly cool, I know, right? So true, Cindy Rose. Okay, you got this. Better things upcoming. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that all of you on this today know me well enough to know that I definitely have a tendency. In fact, my mom and my daughter and I were sitting at the table. I'll talk about the bright pink in just a minute. That's so fun. I love it. We were just sitting at the table in the food court at the mall, and we were talking about the positive, seeing the glasses half full versus seeing the glasses half empty. And then we have people like my daughter who's like, it's all the way full, mama. Such a realist. But anyway, so I definitely err on the side of seeing things in the positive light. And I don't know if that's sometimes I think it might be a defense mechanism or a way to just, cope with some of the things that life throws my way. And other times I feel like it's just who I am at the core of my being. I just have a tendency to see the bright side of things. I have a tendency to look at what good is coming out of this, because why not? Why not focus on what is showing up and maybe analyze it a little bit. I'm probably pretty darn analytical with my Virgo sun. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the painted bright pink, okay? So when you see the chakras on the toes and where those show up, right? Even though pink doesn't necessarily show up in the chakra system, it actually kind of does. And let me just show you on the vibrational scale, if I can pull that little card out here. Here's where the vibrational scale is, okay? And I have this, I think I have this one available. But one of the things about that pink color to me is that it's kind of a combination of the red, the white, and almost like a little bit of that purpley color, right? So that like super bright magenta pink is what I'm picturing. Maybe it's more like a yeah, I know, Pollyanna, right? Yeah, and definitely positive vibes. It's interesting because when I hear a story, and it can be anything. In fact, I have a really good girlfriend who is in Alabama, and she wasn't in her brand new home 3 weeks before the tornado just demolished it, okay? So she's in the aftermath of that. And it's impossible for me to see that as a bad thing. Not that I don't discount the challenge of getting through that. Not that I don't discount the emotions that anybody would have to go through in order to get through something that dramatic and such a crisis and whatever. But I always, and I don't know if it's a defense mechanism. I don't know if it's just how I show up in the world, and definitely prayers to her and her family for sure. Everybody's healthy, everybody's safe, furry friends and humans alike. So it's all good, right? All the rest of that stuff, it'll work itself out. And it reminds me of that image that I show you guys every once in a while, which is of the Jesus and the Jesus with the teddy bear. So I'm gonna show it right now. Like, but I love it. But I love this little guy. I love the little guy. And he's like, but just trust me. Just trust me. Just trust that I know that there's something bigger and better and more amazing out there for you, and that I got your back when it comes to it, right? So it's so true. But let's get back to those pink toes. So I choose the color by the name on the bottle. Oh, awesome. Totally love that. And then what was the name, Susie? What was the name of that? It is positive vibes. Here's the thing about pink. Pink is both first of all, it's a very calming color. I don't know if you guys know anything about Sheriff Joe out here in Arizona. By the way, I'm visiting my mom in Arizona right now. thus the different background and everything. But Sheriff Joe paints all the walls and everything in, the prison system pink. And it might be a little bit about being shameful, because, they're there for a reason. They're there, most of them. Obviously, there's situations that don't fit this general scenario, but the idea is that it's a very calming color. It just has a peacefulness about it, okay? And it has a softness about it, right? And it doesn't matter what shade of pink we're talking about. Pink is just a very calming color. But if you look at the chakra system, it is the root chakra and the crown chakra together. So it's really kind of having that really amazing connection between the two, which is why I love that color so much. So I'm a huge pink fan, especially when it comes to nail color, just because it's so much fun. So much fun. It also happens to remind me of Barbie. Can't help it. But yeah, so you're talking about this idea of things showing up in the world. And I always think of rose quartz also, right? Rose quartz is this very healing color. It's a very healing rock. If you ever come across rose quartz, it's impossible not to be attracted to it. It just has this vibration of just love and joy and peace with it, right? So kudos on the pink. I definitely, Robert, go ahead and paint those toes pink, right? No, I'm teasing. Well, go ahead. I mean, who am I? Who am I to judge? I love it. Okay, but destiny. Let's talk for just a few more minutes about destiny. All right. So let's look at these toes. All right. So I think that the last couple times that we've talked about that the lines across, the horizontal lines across, being dark valleys or deep crevices that we've had to navigate through and past. And then we've also had other, the name of the color was Make an Entrance. That's awesome. Totally love it. Absolutely, make an entrance by all means. I love that. I love that for you, Susie. Okay, so yeah, so where the lines show up on the toes is the timeline of life, right? So this was about a third of the way into the time. It also happens to be right where my lines show up and where I have work to do, okay? So about a third of my life, or really 2/3 of my life ago, which I did the calculations, and I turned 50 this year, so that's 16 for me. So right around 16, some dramatic crap happened in my life. No doubt, without a doubt, it definitely did. And it changed the course of my life. It's something that I have a little bit more forgiveness work to do on. I've done tons of forgiveness work on it. But yeah, so I have more forgiveness work to do. So when the valleys still show up, there's more forgiveness work to do. What's interesting to me about these feet, and it shows up on my feet too, and maybe that's why I find these feet so interesting, is the timeline of life starts where the toe meets the foot. So if there's lines on the foot, that's from past life stuff. So that's stuff that we've brought here with us. That's stuff from our genetic lineage that we have to heal, we don't have to. I mean, we don't have to do anything, right? We could just ignore that it exists and just go about our business, and it will keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up until we can face it and deal with it. Because that's just how the universe works. That's how God works, we keep seeing the same stuff over and over and over and over until we acknowledge it and we, bless and release it. That's kind of what it comes down to. We have to bless that it's come into our life to help us see what we don't want, or things that we need to let go of, or things that we need to release, and thank it for showing up, because that's how it works. That's just, we have these, challenging things that show up on occasion, or I don't know about you guys, but the last couple of days have been challenging for me. They definitely, energetically, they felt a little bit heavier than the days before. Like a week ago, totally fine. I was totally fine energetically, even when I knew that the retreat was not going to happen. But somehow over the course of the last week, the energy has just felt a little bit heavier to me. And I know that we just had a full moon, not yesterday, but the day before. So there's a little bit of releasing that needs to happen with that. The energy just feels a little bit like it's time to kind of let it go. It's time to up in our lives. Bless and release it, bless and release it. So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that is what happens. When the lines show up from that past life experience, one of the things that I welcome you to do, and I still need to do some of this work myself, so trust me, I come from a place of knowing. If you can reach down and touch that place on your feet where the lines are showing up, if you can just kind of bless it, ask Jesus, ask your angel guides, whatever feels comfortable to you. Ask for a little bit of forgiveness, because one of the things about one of the things about forgiveness work, okay, is that we can forgive other people. Usually we can forgive other people way easier than we can forgive ourselves. It's a lot harder to acknowledge that you have that forgiveness work to do because you have held on to it long enough that you still find it to be a challenge, right? Higher power, absolutely, no doubt. There is something. I don't know if it's us, I don't know it, whatever. It definitely, higher power definitely works for me. But it's just this place where we have to acknowledge that we are the ones who have held on to this challenge, whatever that looks like, whether it's our genetics, whether it's because we still have, let's say, grandma, great grandma, whatever, had difficulties in life, maybe they had challenges overcoming money issues, or maybe they had so much money they felt all alone, or there are so many things, and money is coming to my mind because I listened to a girlfriend do a card reading this morning, and she pulled a card for me, and it was the card of one of the Pentacle cards, which is all about money and finance and kind of coming to peace around those things. So a lot of money challenges have shifted for me in the last 6 months to a year, hugely, like majorly dramatically, which is part of the reason why I do what I do, because I want to help other people shift that in themselves to be able to, open themselves to accepting and receiving more of it. Because I just know so many amazing people who are good-hearted, kind people who would make this world an amazingly better place if they had that power and control that money offers us, right? So I know that the good people are the ones who need to have the money right now. So it's a big deal to me. So part of what I've learned over the last, let's say, year is to really bless and release those things that we've pulled in from past lives and with our parent or ancestry challenges that have come up. And really, when you touch your toes where those lines show up, it's kind of freaky when you're in a place of either meditation or just being fully present in that moment. When you touch that place, like a flash of a memory or something that maybe a story you heard once, maybe a story your grandmother told your mother and your mother told you, and the telephone effect has happened in that story, right? That kind of thing. We just need to acknowledge that it exists. That's what that EFT tapping that I usually do is all about, is acknowledging that it exists, because that thought might be the thought that's holding us back. And it might be something so little and minuscule that we don't even know that it's holding it back. Here's how you know that that's what's showing up in your life. When something comes out of your mouth and you're like, oh crap, did I actually say that out loud? Like, that's usually only something I think of, a thought in my head, but it came out of my mouth this time. Holy cow, I must really actually believe that to be true. That's when you know it's time to bless and release it, time to let it go, because it's showing up enough that you're able to consciously hear your subconscious thoughts, right? So anyway, so we're blessing it, we're acknowledging it, then we're blessing and releasing it, and then we're reframing it. Okay, so those are kind of the 3 steps to changing how our belief systems show up in our life. And that's happened to you recently a lot. Yep, it's just time. It's just time. So Susie, maybe we have a tapping session to do on that. So let me know if something specific is coming up, and I'll do that during the EFT tapping session this week on Thursday. Anyway, you guys, I think that's it. I mean, I think that covers the big toe really, really well. One of the things that I do want to say about being off path, how to get back on path, is to do some of that forgiveness work and really kind of do those 3 steps. Acknowledge, bless and release it, and then reframe it. When you do those 3 steps, it's it's amazing how those things will shift in your life. And I'm going to be doing a lot of that this week because it's the right time. When the moon is full, by the way, exactly, time is totally prime for that. When the moon is full, that's when we're letting stuff go. When the moon is a new moon, that's when we're bringing energy in. So when you think about the thoughts and feelings and emotions that you have around those two times of the season, when the moon is full, you want to kind of be consciously thinking about the thoughts that you're blessing and releasing. That it's time to let these things go. It's time to let go of, I don't even know what. Nothing specific is coming to mind, but bless and release. When the new moon is happening, you know, it's funny. I saw my dad one time, we were at a restaurant, we were waiting for the car to be pulled around. And he pulls out his wallet. He's like, oh, look, it's the new moon. And he pulls out his wallet and he holds up like a $50 bill or $100 bill. I don't even know what. It was a big bill, though. It was beyond a 20. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, always show the new moon your money. I was like, okay. And that was way back before I knew any of this stuff. And it was just like, I don't know if he even knows what he was doing, but that new moon will bring that energy to you. It will bring stuff to you. So it's really, really cool. Just a little like ritual that he does anytime that he acknowledges that like I like this money. I would like more of it, please. Show me the money. So anyway, I welcome you to try that. See how it works. Let me know how it works for you. Anyway, you guys, I think that wraps it up today. Thank you so much for being here. I really love it when you show up and you ask questions and you interact. So thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great afternoon. Happy Toes Day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.